What's going on, guys? Today is a good day. We get MLB The Show 25 on early access. I'm extremely excited to finally get into the game and get franchise content out to you. But before I do that, I want to bring you my top 5 teams to bring into franchise mode to help set you up for a fun and memorable experience. I won't be covering the White Sox or the Marlins since, well, they're so bad it's just a given that they're absolutely in need of a rebuild. So keep in mind this is not in any specific order, just kind of scrolling down the list team by team. First up is the Tampa Bay Rays. We know the Rays have had a lot of success in the past with their savvy approach to roster construction. They've scouted well, they've drafted well, and they've traded well, really honing in on acquiring buy low targets and maximizing their production. But these Rays today are much different. They're in a totally different spot organizationally. Having missed the playoffs last season, I like the Rays to rebound this year by at least competing to go above a 500 record. That's a pretty low bar. I think he should be able to do that. Of course, getting Shane McClanahan back is a step towards that goal. So it'll be really fun to utilize that guy, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Maybe Junior Caminero becomes the stud that most people think he will be. And the Lows, or the Lows, it's Brandon Lowe and Josh Lowe. Maybe they'll supply some additional power for a lineup that desperately needs it. Oh, and then there's Eloy Jimenez. Speaking of power, he's all the way down there towards the bottom of the list, but he could do just that if he kind of catches fire, supplying some more power. The Rays' strength is obviously their pitching, so it'll be up to you to maintain the aura of Rays baseball. Pitching, defense, and stretching your dollars as far as they'll go. Let's not forget about their Tropicana Field situation. Their GM, Stu Sternberg, actually just made an announcement on X the other day that the Rays won't set foot at the Trop for 2025. The fact they're going to be playing their games at their spring training site with that amount of seating, ticket revenue's going to take a major hit. So with that, it might be the perfect time for someone like you to take them over, create a new stadium, and actually give the Rays a home that they and their fans deserve. I like the Rays as my number one pick here. Be a really fun franchise. Next up, the Minnesota Twins. This might surprise some of you out there, as it's not a team right now that you'd actually classify as in a rebuild mode. And I personally don't think that they're in that mode either. But as a reminder, these teams are teams that I think will be fun for franchise mode, not necessarily who are good teams to rebuild per se. So the Twins are set up to win in 2025, but beyond that, you're going to start getting into some spots to having to make some tough calls. Who stays, who goes, and considering some of those long-term contracts already in place for Buxton, Correa, Pablo Lopez, all of who are going to start regressing fairly soon in your franchise. Granted, in real life, these guys are probably going to have a lot of good baseball still left in them, but in the show, we know regression hits pretty hard, and given the money aspect of things, I can foresee some major forks in the road that you're going to be faced with. So when do you part ways with an aging Correa on a 6-year contract, or a Buxton who isn't hitting? How are you going to build up a younger pitching staff to take into account Bailey Ober's age and Joe Ryan's regression? The time is now for the Twins, and the window is starting to close. They're honestly a sneaky franchise mode team to consider for all the different routes you could take to build them into being a consistent winner, but you got to do it fast, and you got to hit it hard because, again, that window is closing. How about the Houston Astros? Kind of in a similar situation with the Twins. They're in a mode to win now, and have actually made some strides to get a little bit younger. With most of the cheating crew gone, other than Altuve, the Astros have a good mix of young and old that'll keep your franchise fresh in how you build the team. They're obviously still going to compete for the AL West without really much competition from the A's and Angels, but the Mariners and the Rangers will be competitive, which makes the AL West race really fun. They're already built for a solid run in 2025 and beyond, and it might be a fun franchise to build around guys entering their prime years like Yordan Alvarez and Yainer Diaz, Jeremy Pena, Hunter Brown, and Christian Javier. So they got pieces there. Something else to consider is their farm system is a little lacking, so with all the success that you're going to have with the current roster, you're going to be likely picking towards the back end of the MLB draft each season. So scouting, drafting, and managing your budget will be challenges with the Houston Astros. So if you're in it to win it right away, but you also like having a good core group that you can attach yourself to and build around, and then of course with management challenges thrown into the mix, the Astros might be a really fun play. Fourth team up on the list, the Washington Nationals. The Nats bring a good young core to the mix for those of you guys who like to invest into young core players and watch them grow. CJ Abrams, Jacob Young, Mitchell Parker, James Wood, just to name a few players who are on the rise within the Nats system. It'll be really fun to watch their careers blossom. No pun intended with the Washington cherry blossom reference. I'm actually really the most hyped up about Dylan Cruz and James Wood though. So out of all those prospects that I mentioned, I really like these two guys. They're oozing with talent, and having them be your 1-2 punch at the top and the middle of the order really helps when you're visualizing how the future of your roster and lineup is going to shake out. Not to mention the Nats have some really solid arms coming up the pipeline too. As I mentioned, Mitchell Parker, but I really like DJ Hertz. He's another guy I like who isn't getting a lot of love with his rating, but his K per 9 is pretty top notch. And last but not least, the St. Louis Cardinals. A once proud organization, and maybe they're still proud, they need a new direction, and that's where you're going to come in. A Cardinals franchise might be fun considering their mix of challenges that the organization faces. The current roster is lacking some punch in the power department, and they're going to need guys like Burleson, Nootbaar, and Donovan to step up. There's talk they might even move on from Nolan Arenado. Is Mason Wynn going to become a better average hitter? We know he's a great defender and can swipe some bags. Will Jordan Walker be an integral piece to the future of the franchise? Can Nolan Gorman be a mainstay and show some better consistency in his game? There's a lot of question marks that abound for the Cardinals. And with aging veterans like Sonny Gray, Nolan Arenado, McCollus, Fetty, and Contreras, the writing does seem to be on the wall for the Cards. You can either rip the Band-Aid off and get straight to brass tacks and tear down this roster. It's going to reach its inevitable conclusion at some point, so you might as well just rip the Band-Aid off. They're going to need a much-needed rebuild. Or do you keep to the tradition of Cardinals baseball and give fans at least a semi-competitive team year in and year out? Tough list to build out, honestly, given some other teams that might be fun, like the Tigers with all of their youth, and they're on the rise. The Pirates and the Reds with Scanes and Ellie. Using up those guys would be kind of a fun time, but ultimately franchise is about the team building aspect and the storylines, isn't it? I think these 5 teams have the most to offer for that exact purpose. A ton of different routes to go down and how you choose to build each team. So what are your thoughts on my top 5? Who would you take out and swap? Did you like my list? Did you hate my list? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, who are you taking into franchise on day 1? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.